Estonia proposes EU to impose full trade embargo on Russia.
Here's a summary of the article.
The Estonian government has approved proposals for the 12th package of sanctions against Russia, which includes suggestions for the imposition of a full trade embargo, according to the Estonian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Margus Tsahkna. Margus Tsahkna stated that in light of these three objectives, the Estonian government has endorsed Estonia's stance on the 12th EU sanctions package, and they will promptly seek support from EU member states and sympathetic partners. The foreign minister stated that Estonia demands the EU sanctions package include a complete trade embargo against Russia, asserting that any trade with Russia is unwarranted. Estonia approved alternative proposals to strengthen sanctions, including banning the transit of sanctioned goods and significantly reducing revenues from the export of Russian energy carriers. In early July, President Volodymyr Zelensky called the European Union to begin work on the 12th package of sanctions against Russia, including Rosatom. Recently, Bloomberg reported that the European Union is preparing for a fight over what should be included in its 12th package of sanctions due to Russia's war against Ukraine. Ri Yermak, the head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, revealed that Ukraine and its partners are working on the next 12th package of sanctions against the Russian Federation.
This post received a score of 3,600, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Should have done that when the Russians invaded Crimea.
Yeah, seriously, like why are they just now considering this? This should have been done on day one.
Oil and gas buddy can't shock the system or your voters and friends will kick you out.
Excerpt.
Imagine if they actually did that 2 years ago. And not just the EU but all of G7, maybe the war would have been over by now.
There is a lot of things that if the West did early enough could have reduced the length of the war or even more optimistically maybe ended it by now. But also it involved an 180-degree turnaround from their pre-war belief that Russia would roll over Ukraine in a war and the only way to stop that war is to offer Russia a bunch of carrots and do whatever it takes not to piss them off.
It's insane that a country that is conducting a full-scale ground war on Europe's doorstep isn't under a full trade embargo. And still we see Western nations and institutions wanting to deal with them. It's a morally bankrupt position. Also, fuck FIFA and fuck the IOC.
Large things takes time to adjust, and there was the energy issue. Now that it seems most countries rewired their energy supplies, it might be possible to add a new wave of measures. I hope so.
Hungary is just gonna veto it. Every country would need to make it on their own.
Greater than every country would need to make it on their own, and EU actually allows that, by the way. But they won't, because it'd hurt them financially.
We should have done this when the war started.
This should have happened day one. Nothing in, nothing out.
What if Russians couldn't travel anywhere? Pretty sure that would put serious internal pressure on them. That and no trade seems the only thing that might end this.
It won't work. The Asian countries won't enforce it, so instead of going to Spain, they will go to Vietnam. I just picked 2 random countries. Of course, it will help a tiny bit and every screw should be tightened. Full trade embargo sounds great to me.
Well, if they were blocked from 60% of the world, it would surely piss off the rich kids. Kind of lame seeing them traveling pretty much everywhere I go, acting all spoiled and shitty. Almost proud.
I've met a few Russians, but they didn't support the war and mainly left to avoid the draft. I don't have a problem with them, but any Russian that supports the war and travels abroad, go back to your motherland.
Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do I t.
Auburn and Ninehammer left the chat.
Good. They don't belong in it.
This needs to happen with all nations against evil.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.